is reality? Reality is what we believe to be true about the nature of our surroundings. But how do we come to decide that true nature? Do we conceive it completely on our own? Or do other devices gently sway our thoughts onto a pre-decided path? This is the hard question we must all ask ourselves as free humans on this planet. New sculpts your reality.
Reality. Hey, Thursday night, guys. You know what that means? It's alternate reality brief. What's up, guys? I'm Don, and I'm here tonight with Dan in spirit, my buddy here. Phantom Spy is going to be popping in a little bit here. I figured I'd go ahead and get it started. You guys have been watching reruns long enough. The two champions in there. So, we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Hello? Yeah. First up on the agenda. This one goes out to my boy Rock. Rock, where you at? Where you at? You missing this. Tiny doses of magic mushrooms can boost your problem-solving skills without the risk of a bad trip. Even bad trips are good trips if you ask me, man. No, Penny is not on this one. That was a rerun. Tricked you! If you've got a tricky problem that needs solving, a minute dose of magic mushrooms could help you crack it, according to a new study. Researchers have revealed that tiny doses of magic mushrooms and truffles can help you produce more new and creative ideas. You don't say. If you think tiny doses or something. The team from Leiden University has looked at the effects of microdosing on a person's brain function with a natural setting. The study involved 36 participants who were asked to carry out a range of tasks both before and after taking small doses of magic mushrooms. How do you get on one of these studies, man? Sign me the fuck up for that, man. That's one of them experiments I'll definitely down for, man. The task assess their convergent thinking, the identification of a single solution to a problem, their fluid intelligence, the capacity to reason and solve new problems, their divergent thinking, the ability to recognize many possible solutions. Look, man, just eat a couple mushrooms, man. You're super fucking smart, dude. I'm telling you. No, let me stop. Researchers also analyzed the active substances present in truffles consumed by participants. The results revealed that after taking the microdose, participants' convergent thinking skills improved. Now, I don't know about microdosing, and I don't know, did they put this up against, a heavy dose? And, what does that do? I mean, obviously, under heavy dose, you're not going to be, solving too many problems right there, but afterwards, say, a week after a heavy dose or something like that. It's kind of interesting, man. I'd like to see a study done like that, comparing it. But, the article goes on and it says it does not do that. So there you have it, man. Having problems at work, figuring shit out or whatever, just a little piece of mushroom in the morning, every morning, or truffle. And you're good to go, man. We got, so on the Black Vault, there's these a collection of FBI paranormal documents, like FOIA requests and stuff like that, and we're gonna get into that a little bit later once Phantom Spy gets here. But there's some pretty interesting stuff in there, man. There's they had a file on Cooper, and they kept calling him paranoid. Oh, he's so paranoid. He's so paranoid. I wonder why. So let's see, what can we get into? Elon Musk says first tunnel for his LA transit dream will be open in December. Already? Hold up. Where'd it go? Sorry, guys. For some reason, this is even harder just by myself. Wonder why. Elon Musk says first tunnel for his LA transit dream will open in December. Many questions remain. So, he's got one of these things up and running in December already? Elon Musk announced Sunday that the first tunnel of a proposed underground transportation network across LA County would open December 10th. So I guess this is just in LA. It's not like the super one, the LA to New York or whatever. The first tunnel is almost done. Musk tweeted to his 23.1 million followers shortly after 5 p.m. That's a lot of followers. Musk Boring Company is building the tunnel beneath the city of Hawthorne, part of his grand vision for transportation network that whisks commuters across the county. Hawthorne. Isn't that from Stranger Things? Last year, Hawthorne officials approved the Boring Company's request to tunnel west from SpaceX headquarters. At the time, they said the tunnel had extended 500 feet. So it's a 500-foot tunnel? The company said its technology could move vehicles as well as pods carrying passengers and bicyclists through tunnels at speeds of 130 miles an hour. That's going to be something else, though, man. I mean, what's a plane go? Commuter jet, like 200-300 miles an hour? Let me see. There's a bicycle. World's fastest production jet is the Cessna Citation X. 12 seats. 604 miles an hour. But that's not going to be your average, commercial flight or whatever. It's pretty incredible. So, a video simulation released by the company last year shows a driver steering a vehicle onto a car-sized platform on the street, parallel to the curb. The platform, called a skate, sinks like an elevator, then carries the car through the tunnel. Man, I gotta get a hold of somebody. Man, this is a hot mic. Woo! I gotta get a hold of somebody and ask them that has been on those trains, and I want them to compare those trains that are allegedly have like Stargate tunnels to another planet, or whatever the case might be, and also the massive tunnel network under the United States from military base to military base, going from DC all over. Those trains, I mean, is there any parallels to what he's doing here? Is this like kind of like a letting him have it kind of thing, or is this like totally Elon Musk cooked up? Mach 8 or 9. Yeah, Mach 8 or 9. That's what said the fastest one, 600 miles an hour. Woo! I don't know. What are you guys thinking? This might be possible. Let the plebeians have it type thing, or what? Or is this Elon Musk only? No, I don't want to pay the LA Times money. What's going on here? Alright, so next up, let's see. NSA finalizes... Excuse me. NSA finalizes $6.7 billion in classified tech contracts. After 2 years, the NSA finished rebidding its network, its groundbreaker program, and beginning its work on a secretive new set of communication contracts. The National Security Agency is quietly beginning work on a new series of 3 communication contracts valued at $6.7 billion. So 3 contracts was like an average of 2.2 billion a year. That's incredible, man. Just for communications. There's no way, man. What are they doing? Like, how many satellites does... I don't know. I'm ignorant on how much it costs to create a satellite, so maybe that's only like 2 satellites. Who the fuck knows? That's a lot of money in communications. Now, bringing to mind that solar observatory thing. Seems like that may have been over some type of Chinese spy thing. The communications equipment that they were talking about in the beginning, before they started jumping on the porn and all that. I don't know why I picked that. That was just great. Here's a fun one. How'd you like to be just chilling out, mind your own business, enjoying your yard or whatever, and then all of a sudden a friggin' Humvee falls out of the sky? This is killing me, because I mean, these guys are flying around with nukes, man, and don't say, oh, they're not allowed to fly with nukes. They do that shit all the time. They've been caught doing that shit, flying around with live nukes, making mistakes. Military plane inadvertently drops Humvee over Harnett County neighborhood. A C-17 military plane dropped a Humvee prematurely over a neighborhood in Harnett County Wednesday afternoon. No one was injured. Thank God for that. I mean, what the fuck, man? What a way to go. How'd you... I got taken out by a Humvee that fell out of the sky. The neighborhood is in the town of Cameron. The incident occurred around 1 p.m. during a training exercise. A load of some kind was released early, and we're looking into how it happened. The C-17 aircraft carry supplies and equipment into war zones, and on Wednesday, the Special Operations Team was practicing that type of scenario when the accident happened. Only 2 items were aboard the aircraft, which was flying at about 1,500 feet in the altitude. The Humvee and a new heavy drop platform. They wouldn't tell you, I guess they're not going to tell you what the Special Secret Access Program heavy drop platform is. About a mile from the drop zone at Fort Bragg, the platform went out of the back of the C-17. Everything went as planned except for the early release. Oh my God, did they actually drop some like classified ass technology on in some neighborhood too with this Humvee? They're only reporting on the Humvee because the heavy drop platform is classified or something. The C-17 Globemaster III was from the 437th Airlift Wing, based at Joint Base Charleston. The incident is under investigation. Oh, that's pretty cool. Report a typo. Can I report a typo on my show? To me? So what is that, man? That's incredible. There's a video here. Let's see if I can get that going. I wonder if anybody that lives in Cameron, North Carolina, go hunt down this drill craft or whatever that fell out of this airplane. No, I guess the video's not going to work, guys. Sorry. So, world governments. You all know them. You all love them. Antarctica. You know Antarctica. You love Antarctica. World governments want to slice up Antarctica when scientific treaty lifts. Global tug-of-war could soon break out over Earth's southernmost continent. An international agreement designed to protect the Antarctic environment by prohibiting development of the continent's land and the extraction of its mineral resources went into effect in 1998. In 2048, nations will have the opportunity to review the agreement, leaving experts worried they might decide to roll back some or even all of the continent's environmental protections. So they're worrying about this in 2048 already. So what is that, the timeline for the crazy shit in Antarctica disclosure? By 2048, everybody will know because the world have divided it up. This land is my land. Antarctica doesn't have a native population or human population or a government. The entire continent was set aside for scientific research by the Antarctic Treaty System in 1959. In 1991, the signatories of that treaty added to the Antarctic Environmental Protocol to ban the exploitation of Antarctica's natural resources. The protocol went into effect in 1998, and nations have the option of reviewing it in 2048. Some experts are worried, and a few already laying the groundwork to stake their claim to potentially resource-rich land. So yeah, we get it. They want to carve it up and mine the fuck out of it, but I don't know, man. It's tricky. It's tricky. Yeah, $1 billion per satellite. So, what was that? 6 satellites? Antarctic residents say 9. You know, I was thinking, I wonder why. I wonder if there's so many, UFO sightings and stuff in Australia because it's so close to Antarctica. Isn't it pretty close to Antarctica? Pretty sure it is. 9! So, kind of makes you think about the Stargate show. You remember how they found the place in Antarctica that had the base that led to Atlantis or whatever with the secret super weapon on there? But while we're on Antarctica, what's up with that square? That's what I was trying to find out. What is up with that square? Where did Antarctica go? Guys, I'm failing hard here. NASA finds perfectly rectangular iceberg in Antarctica as if it was deliberately cut. What are the chances, I wonder, of that being a natural formation? I'm sure they've got some kind of explanation of why it happened naturally. I'd like to see this here. NASA just shared a stunning image of a nearly perfect rectangular iceberg in Antarctica. The monolithic slab of ice, floating just off the Larsen Sea ice shelf, appears quite unnatural given the 90-degree angles. NASA took the image as part of Operation Ice Bridge. You know what this is? This is their explanation for why there's those big white blocks in Antarctica when you look on Google that are obviously covering up some type of bases or installations or something. I know you know what I'm talking about if you look at Google Earth in Antarctica. It's what it is. See? Don't worry about it. And these things don't even really exist. That's CGI. Okay, so they took them to understand how ice, thickness, location, accumulation, etc. has been changing in recent years. While the iceberg is quite strange to look at, it's an entirely natural phenomenon. Most of us are used to seeing pictures of angular icebergs with just a small tip jutting out of the water. However, there's an entirely different type of iceberg called tabular icebergs. Tabular icebergs have steep, nearly vertical sides and a flat plateau top. Those are the ones that you always see the cartoon polar bear swimming on or whatever. When there's a clean calve of the iceberg, the angles can be close to 90 degrees. In this case, the iceberg is likely not very old, as wind, waves, and sea spray will eventually winnow away the sharp edges of this iceberg and round it out. Kelly Brunt, a NASA scientist, told Live Science the photo of the rectangular iceberg was taken at approximately 2026 Zulu time on October 16th and are located at latitude blah 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 coordinates. So there's what is this? I guess that's what they're saying it is. It's one of these things. Don't worry about it being perfectly rectangular. As you may know, typically only 10% of an iceberg sits above the ocean surface when floating. However, it's unclear in this particular image whether the iceberg is fully floating or partially sitting on the bottom of the ocean. While this iceberg hasn't been measured, some tabular icebergs can be amazingly large. The world's largest recorded iceberg is iceberg B15, sitting at 183 miles long and 23 miles wide. The tabular iceberg, which was larger than the island of Jamaica, calved off the Ross Ice Shelf in 2000. Is this rectangle like part of that one thing that, remember that miles long crack? Did it break off finally? To put the two iceberg locations into perspective, the map above highlights the location of the Larsen Sea ice shelf. Towards the bottom of the map, you'll notice the Ross Ice Shelf, which produced the largest iceberg in history. I still don't explain how that doesn't explain to me how it's a perfect rectangle or whatever. Let's look at these more pictures of it that they released. If I can get it over there. Freaky rectangular. I guess it's not a perfect rectangle. It's got a little break up on the top. But that is crazy, man. There's the one that everybody was showing at first. I don't know. I wish I could show a clear picture of the back. Alright, is this supposed to be the satellite of it? Where is it? I'm not seeing it here. I guess it's this right here. I see. Oh yeah, there's an arrow pointing to it. That's such a dumbass. I thought it was pretty interesting, said Harback in a NASA statement. I often see icebergs with relatively straight edges, but I've not really seen one before with two corners at such right angles like this one had. It looks like three corners have right angles. No, two corners. Look, I don't even do math. In July 2017, Antarctica's Larsen Sea ice shelf released an enormous A68 iceberg, which weighs about 1 billion tons. Man, I wonder if all of this breaking up and melting we're all going to die at sea level. I wonder if any of this is going to show us some shit, man. I did see some photographs. I wish I would have put them in the show list. I don't know what I'm thinking sometimes. But it looked like ancient structures underneath the ice. It was like this whole big... I didn't really do any kind of digging into it and see if there was another explanation for it or whatever. Yeah, Nazis got to use Windows Paint. They haven't quite developed Photoshop yet. Space Nazis, that is. Okay, so, you can't talk about Antarctica without actually talking about stabbing. I mean, when I think Antarctica, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, right? Stabbing. Antarctic researcher stabs colleague at remote Russian outpost, faces attempted murder charge. You drank the last of the vodka. Stab your face. An Antarctic researcher at a remote Russian science station has been charged with attempted murder after stabbing his colleague in a sudden burst of violence. According to Russia's Interfax news agency, Sergei Savitsky attacked his fellow scientist on October 9th, possibly after experiencing an emotional breakdown, stabbing him at least once. I mean, fuck, really? You're sitting out in a desert of ice. Nothing but ice for as far as the eye can see. Maybe you'll get a penguin. And I'm sure they're nasty fuckers. You know what I mean? They probably don't like you being around. It's depressing, I'm sure, man. And God knows what's going on out there. I mean, you hear about all these... They got all these different stations that are measuring beams and rays and particles and shit that are coming out of there. Like, who knows? What the fuck is that doing to people anyway? The people that are going down there. 2 men have been living and working together for 6 months at Russia's Bellinghausen station on King George Island, more than 500 miles off the southern coast of Argentina. Interfax reported the attack took place at the station's canteen. The agency said Savitsky deliberately targeted his colleague, named only as B, and went after him with a knife. The attacker later surrendered to the station manager without resistance. The injured researcher was sent for medical treatment in Chile, while Savitsky was placed under house arrest at the base until December 8th. Russian authorities have not yet commented on the attack. The Bellinghausen station, built in 1968, was one of the first Antarctic research facilities established by the Soviet Union. It was named for the 19th century Russian Antarctic explorer Fabian von Bellinghausen. That's kind of fun to say, guys. Try it out. Fabian von Bellinghausen. The base sits 650 feet from Chile's primary Antarctic outpost, the Frey facility. Several other stations are nearby, including Chile's Escuardo Center, Uruguay's Artigas base, and China's Great Wall Outpost. Great Wall Outpost. Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Argentina, South Korea, and Poland also maintain permanent stations on King George Island. Early Antarctic research outposts were Spartan affairs made of simple, cheap materials designed for survival but not comfort. Yabba, 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 yabba. Investigating crimes committed in Antarctica poses unusual challenges. In 1961, Antarctic Treaty states that the continent belongs to no one nation. Argentina, Australia, the UK, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway all have territorial claims on the icy land, though none are recognized by the treaty. Around 30 nations, including the US and Russia, maintain research teams in Antarctica either seasonally or year-round. Each county's jurisdiction is generally accepted at its own facilities. I'm going to stop reading this now. This guy showed up, so what I'm going to have to end up doing here is hitting a couple buttons.
What?
And
What?
Here, you can have this one too. CGI is on the fritz. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to hit a couple buttons here, and then we'll be right back in a flash.
Yeah.
The paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're trying to do simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature, to be natural, and this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murder scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we want to eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of parted people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna sell your daughter at the mall. We're gonna sell your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
I smell like beef. I smell like beef. I smell like beef. I smell like beef. I smell like beef.
What's up?
We back. Thank God I got someone to ramble to instead of just rambling to seemingly myself. I know you're out there listening, but
I was standing outside the door for a little while just listening. It's like, ooh, he needs me in there.
dude, I swear, ever since I did that one end of year recap or some shit by myself, it was the worst. I was all like, and then the interface was screwed up, so it sounded like this instead of it was, and I was like, oh my fucking God. And then that video got stuck permanently live on Facebook. So if you guys have a nice laugh, head on over to the Facebook page, Reality Brief. Click on the videos, find the one that says live, and look at that fucking crazy shit. That's a mystery to me, man. I don't know. So we are back. It should be hour 2 because we took the break early, but it's not. It's really still hour 1.
It's hour 1.9.
But we're gonna lie to you like a politician would lie to you and tell you it's hour 2 now, right?
I mean, it could be. We can round up. I like to round my time at work, you know.
Speaking of politicians lying. All right, so a couple weeks ago we had this RICIN attack, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm surprised that you remember.
I'm pretty
sure that fucking everybody chose to forget that. We already had a politically motivated, violent attack through the Postal Service by a deranged fucking, extremist just weeks ago, and nobody went and blamed Obama. Nobody went and blamed Hillary Clinton for saying we can't be civil. Nobody, it was just like, well, this is some crazy guy. But now, of course, here comes the biggest false flag I've ever fucking seen.
Man, I don't know. Look, it could still be a dumbass.
Oh,
I mean,
course,
look,
sure.
I'm not gonna say it was a 100% a false flag, because
yeah,
with anything, I think there's always a chance. Roll the fucking dice. How are you really gonna know unless you were there and saw it?
I could see it, man. But it's like with anything, any kind of situation, you have to look at who was positioned to make this happen the easiest without any other complications, and who stands to benefit in the outcomes. And it's like and
then you've got okay, so not only were these things being shipped, right? Now you got reports of them that they were actually dropped off.
Well, some of them. One of them, like they were talking about, the CNN one used a courier, but as I understand it, that's fairly common for big buildings in cities to use courier services. They just go pick up their mail every day, and that's it. So I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary with that. Oh my God, he looks so 3D.
Wow. Look at that, man. 3D zombie. He is not looking good.
He looks like you could put a hood over that motherfucker and he could be Emperor Palpatine in a millisecond, man. Yes.
Yeah, you got that. You nailed that shit right on the head, man. Emperor Palpatine. So this was the first bomb that I heard about. And as soon as I heard it, I heard it on the radio, like, it was like a blurb, like, oh, and by the way, George Soros had a bomb mail too. I was laughing, dude. Everybody's looking at me like, what? Like, who's that anyway?
I was wondering, like, which house? You know what I mean? Where is he? Is it really mailed?
Well, that's why I was laughing, because I know there was no way in hell that it would ever harm him. I mean, like, the guy's got what, 500,000 houses?
Yeah, I mean, at least he's all over the world all the time, as far as I understand.
So, I haven't delved too deeply. I just saw some pictures of the pipe bomb and the package and shit.
Right.
And, coincidentally, I was at the post office today, just today, in fact.
Me too. I wasted fucking like 3 hours with the post. You want to hear a rant? No, you don't want to hear a rant.
No, see, you're doing it wrong. You gotta print your postage before you even get to the post office.
Oh, it was stuff that I'm expecting. See, I'm on the other end where things just disappear and it says, delivered, you're good, it's been delivered, but it's over 5 blocks away somewhere. It's happened to me so many times, dude.
It's something else. I don't want to get too off track here, but, man, it's something else,
We could do it. We could have a little 10-minute rant that you could clip out and get some views on, because the USPS is out of control.
But look, I love them. God forbid they go anywhere, because they're cheaper than fucking UPS.
Yeah, but it's a gamble. It's like, whatever. I'm not.
Well, look, they got insurance, so something that's a gamble should be shipped with insurance.
It shouldn't be a gamble every time.
As a person who uses the post office frequently, if you're shipping a high value item, you should Right. It shouldn't be a gamble, but we don't live in a perfect world, man.
Well, look, if I went to a restaurant and I said I'd like your fucking pizza, and they said okay, and fucking one time out of 20, I just didn't get a pizza that I fucking paid for, and you're just out of luck. It's like, you should have had pizza insurance, bro. It's like, wait a fucking second, you got one fucking job here. You have one single task to perform, and that is to deliver something. It's a printed. I mean, come on, mail carriers. You've got printed black text on white of a couple of letters and a street name. It is instructions is boiled down to as simple as possible.
I understand there's probably some postmen that have low IQ syndrome or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
Their package, fuck you. But, for the most part, working at the post office, and we have a mutual friend that worked at the post office for a little while,
right?
And he was telling me that they're like, you've got a certain amount of time to make that run, and if you don't make that run, you're fucked.
You know why that's fucked though? You know why they're on a schedule? It's because 90% of what they're out there carrying around is trash for someone else to fucking throw away. It's garbage that they put into a little trash can on the front of your house every day. A guy walking around saying, "Here, you want this fucking advertisement? Too bad."
What you call garbage, I call free shipping material. So we'll leave it at that.
You can have all of my.
All right, so back to the bombs, though, man. Enough on the post office. Back to the bombs. So the Soros pipe bomb, this one comes up first, right? So now, is this the one that they were saying was planted? Or was this the one that was
dropped off by hand?
Yeah.
I believe they said this one was dropped off by hand, but I'm not sure why. I didn't really hear exactly why they said that. As far as I know, the postage on all of them was bogus. Like, you can't mail something this big with 5 fucking stamps.
Right. That's what I'm talking. That's what my point was before we started getting into the post office.
Sure.
While I was at the post office today shipping a package, I struck up a conversation with the guy about it because I talk to him all the time.
I wanted to do the same, actually.
And he was telling me that you can't. Yeah, like, if it's over 13 ounces, you can't even mail it with stamps.
Yeah, that just seems weird. A package with stamps, like
you can't even mail it with stamps.
I've never even seen that.
Yeah, and they'll send it right back to you.
Right.
And he said that is one of the. They give him a list. He was telling me what they look, because the first thing I asked him was, they stepped up to security or anything? What's up, Squeak?
Squeaker.
They stepped up security or anything like that? And he's like, no, man, it's just the same as it was.
Well,
man.
Same since the Unabomber, and that changed everything.
That changed all of it, right? And he said, he gave me the scenario and everything, and he was telling me that the one that he saw in the news, he wouldn't have even shipped it because the postage was wrong.
Right.
Right. So how did it get shipped?
Well, clearly it didn't. But there's this. That's what's weird about it is officially. The FBI even is sticking to that story that some of them were shipped. But the stamps, even if the stamps were used, look, the stamps weren't canceled. Anything that you actually ship that actually gets processed through the USPS, you get the stamp on top of the stamp. You can't just peel it off and use it again.
Right.
Stamp's canceled. None of the... Look at the pictures, man, that they suspiciously decided to release. You don't release photos of evidence. I mean, that's really
the thing too is those stamps are from machines. You obviously can't feed that package, that manila envelope. It was like this and about that wide. You're not feeding that through a machine to get a stamp anyway.
Well, to get a stamp or to read
yeah, because when you send a letter, it goes through a sorter,
right,
and then it gets fed through a machine, and that's what does the stamping over the stamp.
Oh, you're saying to cancel the stamp?
Yeah, it's not like or for just how when you mail a letter and you get it, it's got a stripe over it.
Right. Yeah, it's got barcode and all that.
Right. So.
Yeah.
I could see that being a scenario. Now I know
maybe that's why they're saying. Maybe that's why they had to specify that the one was delivered by courier, because then they would say, oh, see, it doesn't have the markings that the USPS would result in. But that doesn't make sense because if it was delivered by courier, it's not going to need fucking stamps anyway. What courier is going to accept stamps? That's fucking stupid, It's just, this whole thing is just so bizarre, and it's bizarre to the extreme. It's getting to the point to where that since there's no official feedback on the bizarre aspects of this, that it's like getting even more bizarre, like Vegas did.
Yeah. So he's saying he wouldn't even ship it.
I believe it.
I'm going to pull up some pictures of these packages here in a second. Right now I'm looking for
Soros.
Seeing what they have any kind of... Alright, now I did find this thing. Whoa, where'd it go? Not that. Not that. That's right, Squeaker. Get us them ratings.
Squeaks is getting in there.
Get them ratings. Get them ratings. Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Well, one thing I found really interesting about when I saw the photo was immediately the timer on the thing. It's like there's just immediately this something that doesn't make sense when you see a timer on a mail bomb. How
it was a timer?
There was a timer. Yeah, I mean, that was the device that was attached to it. You know, it wasn't a straight-on shot. There. Okay, see that black box? Let's see if is there. Do you see the other photo? Is it? Can you keep scrolling down and see the other? There's one more angle. Huh. Interesting.
Not even up there anymore, huh?
Interesting, because it's. I'll find it for you and I'll send it to you. It's very.
What's up, dude?
It's very obviously like a 24-hour clock with 2 buttons on it. Now, I've seen people dug up an eBay listing or Amazon listing for this little $3 clock that isn't a timer. It's a 24-hour clock calendar without an alarm function. So, what is the purpose of a clock on a bomb that you're sending through the mail that you don't know when it's going to get there? So a timer doesn't make sense to begin with, right? But it doesn't even have an alarm. It doesn't have any mechanism to trigger something in a power source to like ignite anything. It doesn't make any sense. How are you going to? I'm sorry. It's a prop, is what I'm getting to. It's made to look like, oh, it's a bomb.
What I'm wondering is, see, the Guatemalan shit, when that first happened, I was like, that shit, the Republicans did that. That was a false flag. The Republicans
horde,
did that
the
shit.
invader
The Republicans did that shit, right?
Yeah.
And then they started releasing some info about some guy that was organizing it down there or something. Right. But, you know, that's shady, too. So, I mean,
I've seen a lot of weird shit with just photos of people. I saw a photo of a guy with a pistol tucked into his belt. I've seen people throwing gang signs. And I will say, too, that, I mean, easily 95% of the people I've seen in any of those photos, even on the, liberal sources, are military-aged males. And the articles will go on and talk about women and children. Show me more than fucking 5 of them for a photo op that you take. You know, everyone's seen the 3 photos of the women and children that are in that horde there, in that crowd. You could probably, if you pulled up the photos, it'd be ones like everyone would have seen them already, because there's only fucking 3. You know, occasionally in the crowd you'll see a few people, a few females, but no, it's by and large, thousands and thousands of military-age males. And you can't tell me that a horde of military-age males, foreigners that are marching with the stated purpose of invading a country and carrying their flags, that's anything except a fucking invasion. So that'll be interesting. I don't know how that's going to tie together with any of this.
Is that an ISIS thing?
Okay, I saw that someone found a version of the ISIS flag, like a knockoff. Let me find you. Before I get off topic.
You guys seeing that out there, right there on the bomb?
It's definitely. It looks like an ISIS
something.
flag, but someone found a version of the ISIS flag that's like, it's like a knockoff. It's like a joke ISIS flag that's like 2 dudes screwing goats or something like that. I don't, and it's like get her done. I think it says on the thing. It's, to me, again, that's like a big fake fingerprint. That's like such an obvious telltale thing. Why would you even put that on a fucking bomb that's supposed to explode? And second, it looks to be made out of PVC pipe.
Yeah.
What is a pipe bomb
what is this, like a remote control to a television?
That's what I'm saying. That's the timer device.
That's the clock thing?
That's the little, it's not even a timer, it's just a clock. Again, it doesn't seem to have any alarm function. Let me see if I can dig this up. You go ahead for a second here.
So, here's my working theory, okay? Tuesday we get the Soros thing, and that's supposedly dropped off, right?
Uh-huh.
Then we get all these packages that don't look like they've been mailed. I don't know, this one looks like it was definitely heavily handled. Like it could have went through the mail.
Well, that one...
There's no markings, on the stamps, like you would say, or like something.
Let me, I'm still looking for that other angle. Here it is.
All right, so my working theory is...
I've got it. Here.
The Soros bomb was legit batshit guy. let's call him fucking alt-right Ronnie.
Ooh.
And he that one was legit.
Yeah, do that thing
And
in
then
Trello if you want to pull that
with
thing
all
up.
the shit going on between and the election coming up, they jumped on it and started sending bombs to themselves. Where'd you put
it's
it?
in Trello. There. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
I would agree, man. Like they were waiting on something like
and
this.
right now, I'm open to like either side doing it.
Sure. I think though that there's very clearly a benefit here. Look, you know,
there's very clearly a benefit.
There's very it's an almost an ancient political tactic to like throw a brick through your window and then hold a press conference saying you've been attacked.
Mm-hmm.
In Italy, I've even read that it's become such a commonplace thing for these mail bombs and these bombings, these like low power, explosive devices, fireworks and stuff, to be used in these types of attacks. Like that, it's so commonplace that it doesn't even make the news anymore. People do it to themselves as a mechanism of trying to get attention. Okay, so here you can see clearly a 24-hour clock type interface, like the 4-digit with the colon in the center, 2 buttons on the front. I'll see if I can pull up. I'll see if I can find that listing. It's definitely. I mean, you could just search around for 24-hour clock and sort by cheapest on eBay, and you'd find that exact. It's a made in China item. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing, man. They've already been reporting that they don't even know if they would have exploded or not.
Well, I've heard. I don't know if it was official confirmation, but I've heard someone. I want to say it was someone from one of the bomb squads or something saying that one of the devices, the CNN device, probably again this one pictured, wasn't an actual device. It wouldn't have worked. It was like meant for show. So maybe they're trying to do some damage control since this is the only photo that's out there. You know, but they've said that all the other devices, they were able to say they were all for sure from the same source because they were all identical. You know,
so
they're all like this. Then they're all. I mean, it just stands to reason that they're all
right. Well, and they blew up the Soros one.
I think they destroyed a lot of or all of them. I would imagine. I think that's.
I mean, if they won't blow up, why would they destroy them?
Well, just as a safety precaution, no one's defusing bombs. You know, that's a TV thing. They just take if there's like a question about it, then they just.
Let me ask you this question. All right, this is the question I pose. How, in an article about explosive device found in mailbox at George Soros' home in New York, are they talking about Roseanne Barr and Nazis?
Because that's
dude?
What it's fucking about. Because this is a mechanism to just tie hate and fear to the right. And it's the only mechanism that the left apparently has to get any traction in the midterms here. Because everything else they're trying is just like falling flat. I mean, look, I really think that this is call me insensitive or whatever. No one even got fucking hurt, you know. But this is such a to me clear as a fucking bell. I can hear this ringing, you know. Very clearly a false flag attempt, you know.
No, well, who do you think perpetrated it?
It could be people in the FBI themselves, like these rogue actors. I'm not saying that it's necessarily Hillary Clinton and Obama and Soros mailing stuff to themselves, but these people.
What if it was the intern from CNN?
It very likely could have been. I'll tell you what, though, man. It's too obviously. It's like who on the right would do this?
Well, here,
why would someone say now's the time? It doesn't even make fucking sense.
I could see. Look, man, you can fucking. People are people, all right? So anytime you have a group of people, you're going to have statistically certain types of people.
So many tards.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not beyond my belief to think that some tard.
I'm with you, man. It could very well be. But
I don't mean an actually physically disabled person.
It's not so much. I'll tell you, it's not so much about who even did it. The weird thing, the thing that needs to be discussed or paid attention to is the reaction to it. the way that, think about the reaction to what you brought up 3 weeks ago, the RICIN thing, man. That was like, boop, done, never even mentioned again. There was no 7-page fucking editorial articles in New York Times 2 hours later saying, oh, and this is symptomatic of, there was no condemnation from people. It was just like,
you know why? Shh. Because that shit, there was something fishy about that shit too, dude.
I don't think there was anything, that was just some tard. Because they arrested a guy, and he confessed to it.
He confessed to it?
He confessed to it that day. He just had a hearing. And I'll tell you what, another interesting timing aspect of this, I think it was last Friday, the guy had a hearing that this should have been major news, an attempted assassination of the president and and who else was it? The Secretary of Defense, I think. I don't remember exactly where they sent him. It's an attempted political assassination of high-level government figures, and we have a guy having a hearing where he's entering in his plea. And that's not even, no one even fucking, I had to dig up news about the RICIN attack to even find that. You know what I mean? It's like the fact that the media will pick and choose and then claim this righteous, untouchable cornerstone of democracy. You can fuck off with that shit. If you can't fucking do it, you are just as bad as that dumb fuck mail carrier with the fucking basic shit in your fucking hands that you fail to deliver. If you are a news anchor and you fail to report on a fucking presidential assassin attempt that goes into court for a hearing, I mean, why aren't these articles even mentioning that? It's just immediately right to the narrative. Right, immediately.
I mean,
so, I don't fucking buy it.
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, that's just the way it works. I mean, the dog and pony show. Obviously,
they're not getting my sympathy.
The left controls more of the media.
These people, Hillary Clinton just fucking said we can't be civil, and then worried about getting shit in the mail. Oh, fucking sorry.
I don't have any sympathy for them people either, man.
Yeah.
But look, here's my thing with the RICIN guy, man. You said he admitted to it, but the guy who burnt down the Reichstag admitted to it too, right?
I hear you, but there's not a mugshot of that guy going.
Yeah,
I'll find you that mugshot if you want, man. Look, that's it right there. No, here it is right there. That's it. I'll put it in Trello so you can show your viewers this smug fucking
because asshole. Look, I guess, man,
he's happy about what he fucking did.
What a douche.
You'll have to pop it in there. How tall is he?
Look, man.
Was he like 5'4"?
I really don't like politicians, but I would never try to kill one of them just for being a politician.
Yeah,
man.
I think maybe look, since people might get the wrong impression with Pepe here, over my heart, expressing my love and my sadness.
Pepe heart.
I feel like it doesn't even need to be said that violence is not any kind of a response to speech. And yet, for the last 2 years, I've seen nothing but attacks on people on the right. I mean, there's a website that catalogs something like 600 attacks on Trump supporters. It's like attacksonTrumpSupporters.com or something like that. Well, I mean, that's you can't fucking tell me that the left that has made this their method, suddenly it's like, they're the fucking good guys, and one time they get, look at how they ride that Charlottesville shit, man. You think anyone's talking about? I mean, really, tragedy, right, a tragedy. But dude, anytime someone talks about like violence on the right and shit, like I have a coworker that I discuss stuff with sometimes, and he's like, yeah, but dude, it's like one crazy dude drives a car, and the whole thing, we get into it if you want, but it's a whole thing was weird to begin with, whatever. But one guy's actions, one extremist's actions, is you can apply that to every single conservative. Every Trump supporter is exactly that guy. You can't fucking do that with Islam. You know what I'm saying? You can't fucking you can't. You know what I mean? It's this extreme tribalism mentality that the left has ingrained into themselves in this generation. It's really become this bizarro world vision thing where they are immediately trained to see the identity politics, basically, to see the groups and the message that they're supposed to see and the understanding they're supposed to have about it on key words. It's like
they're pushing collectivism, you know what I mean? And that's not what America was supposed to. I thought America was supposed to be about individualism. You know what I mean? Wasn't it?
Well,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not so much ingrained in the Constitution, but I thought that was pretty much the spirit of America. You know what I mean?
Well, individual liberty essentially means that you can do that and you don't get chastised for it. You don't have to have a purity test of like which religion you're a part of or which mob you're a fucking part of to get the job or to keep the job or whatever. And we're at that point. You know, we're at the point of extreme, I will say it, man, extreme liberal control over social media, over Hollywood, you know what I'm saying, over technology like Twitter and Google, shadow banning conservative sites like Facebook. They're taking off all these sites all the time. They're banning people and stuff like without explanation. I don't see that happening as often on the left as they do on the right, because in their worldview they're saying, well, I disagree with that, but what that is hate. There's no place for hate. That's hate speech, and that's this and that. And what this guy is really saying with his dog whistle.
I've seen some lefties go down.
Yeah, it happens, but they're the extreme examples that are, you know, outright calling for blood, and yet many people, you know, you can find hundreds of examples of it on Twitter, especially. Many people on the left are calling for violence. Like Kathy Griffin with fucking Trump's head, severed head. Give me a fucking break, man. If you saw Norm Macdonald with Obama's bloody severed head in 2007, people would be like, "Oh my fucking god!"
Here's my view on it, man. I'm sitting back watching this, going like, they're both acting fucking like morons. Like, both sides of this are acting like morons and then just pointing the finger at the other side. It's so stupid. That sums up America right there.
Well, that's
everybody acting like a fucking moron going like this.
That's true, man. I mean, you know,
there you go, America.
That's a very good way to keep people from pointing the finger up there, you know, at the people that are really pulling the strings, you know. And I'm not talking about, you know, Drumpf. I'm not talking, you know, I'm talking about the fucking cabal.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we try, well, you know, I try to stay out of this shit as much as I can, because I just laugh at it, man, because it's so ridiculous, dude. It's like, what flavor of fucking oppression do you want? I mean, because if you look at core values that these people allegedly stand for, they're the furthest fucking thing away from that. So you can't even identify with conservatism because conservatism is dead. You can't identify with liberalism because liberalism is dead.
I don't know. I don't
the
think
actors
so.
the actors that create policy, right, have gotten so far away from the original definition of what they're supposed to do. You can no longer consider any politician conservative or liberal.
Well, the entire political process has become just a joke. They should have banned lobbying 20 years ago. You know what I mean? They should have banned any sort of financial influence in politics a long fucking time ago. Because that's how is that not corruption to be able to influence politics?
You know, back in the day before the Senate was elected by the people, when it was elected by the state government,
right?
They would come in with briefcases full of money, like, you know, just brazen, man, and just be like, boom.
Oh, you're talking about the
state government would vote for senator.
Right. But I'm talking about the what the hell? I'm trying to think of the name of what they were calling those dudes. The business owners at the time. The robber barons. That was what it was. Yeah. The robber barons. That's my punk band.
The robber baron banksters.
The robber barons.
The banksters.
Yeah, Banksters is a lot cooler. That's my rap group.
That's my rap group. So, man, in the BBC article, U.S. mail bomb threats, what do we know about suspect packages? They don't really know shit. They're just babbling about Roseanne Barr and shit.
They knew that Trump is responsible.
Like, and
I promise you that.
What is the BBC even doing babbling about Roseanne Barr? Anyway, no, let me stop. That was the New York Times. Whatever.
Roseanne Barr.
It was the New York Times. And then today, Robert De Niro gets a bomb. Joe Biden gets a bomb. Oprah is sending these bombs, dog. Oprah is figuring it out. These bombs, man.
You should call the FBI.
Shit,
they're gonna want to hear that.
Everybody but poor old Bernie gets a bomb.
Yeah. Oh boy, anybody got a bomb for me?
It's okay. I'll take your bomb and give it to him. Oh, let me stop.
Oh, Bernie.
So, yeah, I mean...
Bernie's off hearing this, just rolling over somewhere.
Okay, so, yeah. Poor Bernie, man. That guy.
Just rolling over in his... rolling over in his car. That guy.
Rolly.
Just listening to this, just...
Look, here's my beef with Bernie, all right?
What?
He didn't like that, dude.
I didn't...
You're going to have to bow. Here's my beef with Bernie, man. He's a flipper. He's a roly-poly, man. He says one thing, do another thing kind of guy, man. He did it on the Fed first off, and that he was dead to me at that point. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't.
Dude, I really got to give you credit, man, because I was caught up in the Bernie stuff, you know, during the election season. I really felt like a drastic, chaotic change was what we needed. And even if I didn't necessarily 100% agree with how Sanders wanted to do it, I realized that he wasn't exactly part of the intergroup.
And you know,
I want to see it happen. But you were like, dude, fuck him. He's going to roll over. You watch. I remember you fucking told me that, man. And I was like, oh, fuck you, man.
Yeah,
you can't say that about me.
You and Ronnie were so pissed at me.
But you were right, man. I got to hand it to you.
Yeah, look, man. Because, look, this is what happened, guys. If you do not know. And now, you may be familiar with the End the Fed legislation, which, you know, does what it says. Yeah. Right? Okay?
There's been some word about the Fed, too, recently.
So, they finally get it. And this was spearheaded by Ron Paul, which is probably the only politician I could say that, you know, kind of like him, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel so bad about that guy. I don't agree with everything he says, but I feel like what he's telling me is what he truly believes.
I'd trust him to babysit my niece. You know what I'm saying?
Totally,
like,
man.
he's a real good human being, you know? You can just tell.
You know what I mean? So, they get this past the House. Bernie Sanders is like, yeah, Ronnie, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it in there, and we're going to do this, right? So they get it in the Senate, and Bernie Sanders completely changes it, and it doesn't even audit the Fed. Thanks, Bernie. Thanks, Uncle Bernie.
Yeah. How does that even work? How can you even call it audit the Fed?
And if you remember, right at the time, the stock market was like, hey, guys, and it dropped. And then God knows what kind of fucking messages they got about that. Like, you know, here's your daughter or whatever, sure. But still, if he's going to cave, you see it. You know he's going to cave, right? So,
well, you know, you got to think. Politics is it's a very rough sport. You don't often see the old career guys in the rough sport. You know, so you got to ask yourself, like, how does Bernie survive? I mean, sure, he's in a little liberal pocket that will reliably reelect him, but he's a Washington operator for, like, decades.
I feel like Bernie is, like, probably one of the least corrupt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think I'm not saying he's one of those, like, insiders, but he's in the room, and they all know him.
Yeah, he's in the room, and they're all like, crazy Uncle Bernie, ha ha ha, just keep doing what we tell you and everything will be all right.
Exactly. You know, you don't want to
upset the apple cart.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have, you know, a herd full of stallions, you know what I mean? You got fucking mares that form a herd, you know? They're not going to want every single senator to be a firebrand that's fucking doing this and that. You know, a rollover senator that gets people to reliably vote for him and just toes the party line. That's great news, you know?
You know what's not great news?
Let's hear it. I'm ready.
You know what's not great news, man?
All right, I'm ready now.
Am I on there? All right, I'm on there. They look like cops, but they're not.
Ooh.
And they're
telling your story.
Damn it, man.
Dedicated to making a local impact. 99 cents per week. Subscribe today. No thanks.
They look like cops, and they're not. They're all over Michigan. 3,000 civilian officers operate with no state oversight.
How do I get in on this, man? This sounds
You know what this
great.
reminds me of? And for those of you watching, you know, we're going to let you in on a little secret. Me and Phantom Spy.
Wait, what secret?
Me and Phantom Spy make noises together when no one's around. And sometimes we do it when other people are around. And they watch us and they look at us funny. So we were out in Raleigh doing
I know where you're
noises.
Going with this. I know exactly where this is going.
We're out in Raleigh doing noises, right? And there's these guys running around, like literally running around, in these bright red fucking shirts and these black pants and walkie-talkies, and they said SA on it, right?
What were they called? Custodian?
No, safety ambassadors.
Safety
Their
ambassadors.
shirt said SA.
Yeah. They were all. That was bizarre. I do have a very clear mental image of just looking down a night street with street lamp, lit street, and seeing these two guys side by side in these matching red jackets, just like T-1000s,
It was like
man.
crimson red, and black pants. It was like so
very bizarre. And they were just on their way to talk to someone. You know what I mean? They were just like running over to like communicate with someone real quick and then run off again. So it was
but they were
weird.
everywhere, and they were called safety ambassadors. And I don't think they had police power. They weren't armed, but they had whistles.
Oh, I got a whistle.
And coincidentally, we almost saw some guy get hit by a car come flying out of an alley on his bike with a... Were you there? Oh, no, that was somebody else. That. Yeah, but this guy... Anyway, that's what happened. So, let's see what's going on in Michigan. Oh, no! They have guns, wear badges, and patrol Michigan streets. They're in uniform, but they're not real cops.
What?
Across Michigan, police departments have enlisted civilians to work alongside licensed officers to patrol communities and even assist real cops with arrest. But unlike the regular officers licensed by the state, these armed civilians are unregulated.
How does that... Well, continue. Let's hear more.
A Detroit Free Press investigation found there are no state-established training requirements for reserve officers. So they're reserve officers. As they are commonly known. No standards for screening their qualifications, and no process for monitoring their conduct. You know what? That might be a good idea, because you know how most police departments have that policy in place where it's like if you got over 100 IQ, you can't be a cop?
Yeah.
So maybe some smart guys will slip past and be like, wait, what you're doing is wrong! You're doing is wrong! I could dream.
It'd be fun to be one of those smart guys out there telling people that they're wrong, but I feel like this
you don't have to be smart, though.
This is a massive, like a huge loophole in policy here. How does this happen? Oh, we've got all of our cops, but then we've also got all these other cops. And they gotta just do whatever they want.
I was watching some dumbass documentary the other day about Detroit. Maybe it was about heroin or something, and they were talking about how understaffed they were and stuff. So maybe this is like the answer to it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's private police.
Hey, like militias, man. I mean, the militia thing shouldn't be so demonized.
No, but unless you do it.
Hey, I don't know
anyone. You don't have a bright red shirt.
I already asked you to join my militia.
This lack of oversight continues despite numerous incidents of questionable, even illegal, conduct by reserve officers in recent years.
No.
The Free Press found a convicted felon who could not legally carry a gun actually patrolled as an armed reserve police officer in Highland Park.
Wow.
Get out my park! Plop, plop! Cops are here!
He's just trying to like roll the odometer all the way around, you know?
The former leader of a hate group volunteered as a reserve with Western Michigan police agencies. Yeah. A Flint reserve officer was convicted after running a vigilante force that once illegally detained teens, holding them at gunpoint.
Well, who hasn't done that?
I know, right? That's cool. He could be a cop.
Yeah.
Right? But I will say, former leader of a hate group could be a wide variety of groups. All right, so
I think that's you are included in that
I am. I have actually been called out by the SPLC, not as Reality Brief, but as something else. And they called the organization, and I was in charge of that. We started, this other guy, a hate group, along with every other one just like us. And you know what we did?
There's that tribalism.
You know what we did?
What's that?
We handed out literature about 9/11 and why it was a false flag.
Why would you be so racist? How could you do this to me?
And we had, it wasn't just like white guys, you know what I mean? It was like we had everybody from all races.
It doesn't even make sense. It's just like, it was funny too, because I remember you telling me about that years and years before seeing it happen to, in like 2016, 2017, a lot of these groups came out condemning just same thing, just condemning all of these conservative groups and calling them like, there's Scott Pressler, that local guy. He's in the paper all the fucking time. They still talk. He was in some campaign ad where they said he was some hate group leader or something. It's just like.
And this perfectly illustrates why I am against giving government any kind of fucking power right here. Because look, this is what it starts out as, right? All these we gotta get these hate groups out of here. You know what I mean? And then it starts by banning extremists, right? And then they start with the KKK and, you know, the Black Panthers and the skinheads or whatever, and then they start branching off and they're getting 9/11 truth activists.
They're just pushing.
Are they
pushing and pushing,
groups?
pushing.
What about tax protesters?
It's got to, yeah.
Tax protesters, and then from there it goes to conservatives.
Yep.
Conservative,
Yep.
and from there
There's
it goes
no room
to,
for this kind of
from
hate.
there it goes to liberals, and the next thing you know, you're living with a giant fucking TV screen, staring at your face, watching your every goddamn move, reading your fucking thoughts.
Yep, you're fucking
And
right about that.
call me
man.
crazy, but that's where we're going, people.
It's true. It's true. First they came for the KKKs. No, but it's true though, because personal liberty means, again, that you can believe what you want. As long as you're not infringing on anyone else's personal liberties, then you can believe and say and do what you want. And you are free to do that, and no one can tell you that's wrong. But yet we live now today in a country where every single turn, people are telling you what's right and what's wrong and how to act. And the TV is the worst actor of all, man. Anytime I see live TV now, it's just like, oh my god. It's gotten to such an extremely bizarre, like, I don't know. I feel like if you show, I don't know. I just feel out of time or something. I feel like we've zapped forward 20 years and the fucking ridiculousness dial was like, right, Squeaker?
So, apparently this is a common thing to have these reserve officers. And according to them, most of them are unpaid volunteers, serving as the partners of licensed cops on patrol to riding horses in parades in units that are generally ceremonial.
Just back up.
So, and apparently it's a common thing across the country, because it was saying that Michigan was behind in everybody else in organizing their auxiliary unit or whatever, their reserve corps. But, you know, the SA thing, the safety ambassadors, is kind of scary, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, in the next few years, as, you know, quite honestly, as the immigration crisis continues. I mean, this isn't going to be the last caravan of refugees or horde of migrant invaders, if you want to put it that way. I mean, there's going to be millions, man. Look what's happening to Europe. You cannot tell me that that's not exactly the path that we're on.
What's that?
Millions and millions of foreign people coming in and claiming citizenship, requesting amnesty because they come from just places that have crime or places that have poverty. That's not a valid, you know, again, this is that these liberal governments taking their ideology to an extreme and saying, well, these people need help. You know, we have to help these people. We have to respond emotionally to everything, and we have to help these people. Otherwise, we are monsters. We can't just be rational about things. And so there's no limit to it. They open this floodgate, and they've had, millions and millions in every single European country. It's part of the EU overarching
we should give them
legislation.
Michigan. We should give them Michigan.
No, I like Michigan. I got an uncle
let's give
there.
them Michigan, man.
No, let's give them...
we'll give your uncle a house in California.
What's that fucking state no one can even remember? I can't even remember now.
What's that state?
North Dakota. North Dakota. Man, that's a state. That's a state no one would miss. No offense, North Dakota. I mean, I love you in North Dakota, but you could easily be Canada, and I wouldn't really care.
So check this out, man. Boom. What fixed NASA's Hubble Space Telescope? Someone flipped the switch on and off?
Who?
So you're telling me it went off because someone said, oh, time to go off. Not because there was some crazy radiation storm or something? So what are they doing? Fucking playing strobe light with the thing? I mean, were they trying to cover something up with this shit?
I don't understand. So there was a problem with it?
Okay,
it just came back on?
Yeah.
Mysteriously?
So what happened was, a week or two ago, Hubble goes down, goes into some kind of
that's right, a safety mode, yeah.
And then the other one that detects radiation or something
Right.
I can't remember what it's called now, but
Is
it went
James
down.
Webb, or is that not up yet?
I'm not sure, but those
One
were
of-
the
yeah.
only two those were only eyes in the sky, so to speak,
Right.
pointing out or whatever, and they both were down at the same time. So, and they were saying the way they made it sound was they didn't know what the fuck was going on. They went into some kind of safety protection mode,
Right.
right? And they both happened around the same time, and it was kind of fishy. You know what I mean? I don't know. Could be something natural, like some type of radiation that affected it or whatever. But
Yeah, I believe that.
as usual, they were, just completely forthcoming with information about it.
Right. Can't just do a press
And
release.
and you could totally believe everything that they say. You know what I mean? Like, the Hubble Space Telescope is closer to operating as normal after the agency was able to correct issues with the backup gyro. Oh, that's right, the gyroscope.
So interesting. It's almost a mechanical problem then.
Hubble was pushed aside in safe mode on October 5th after a gyroscope was used to help telescope turn and lock onto new targets stopped working. The gyroscopes have two modes: a high mode used when the spacecraft turns between targets, and a more precise low mode to help Hubble stay still and lock onto a target. I think it was the other satellite that they were like, I don't know.
Didn't say anything.
Yeah, the article was like contradicting itself.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I know it's pretty common, commonplace to have these like safety shutdowns where if like an errant voltage or something is detected, it's just like, shut it down because there's like radiation coming in or cosmic rays and stuff. I mean, really like these ions or electrons that travel through, from supernovas and stuff.
They need to just go on and start equipping them with deflector shields, man.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't just put it on there, man. I mean, what the
Stupid.
hell?
Stupid.
Just build one on, jeez.
Gyroscopes have two modes, high mode. Yeah, so that's right. Someone was saying last week their gyroscopes work on inertia.
Mm-hmm.
So, you think a gravitational disturbance could fuck it up?
Well, I mean, there'd be a gyroscope would be essentially like a measurement device at that point, So it could be that like there was some sort of gravitational phenomenon or something that passed nearby that affected them. But I don't think that they would be. I don't think anything. I think for these things aren't going to be on the same track. They're going around. They're just orbiting around the Earth. Totally separate from each other. So for something to have affected only these two and not dozens
Everything
or
else,
hundreds
right.
or more, it would have had to. I don't know. It could have happened.
So it would seem more like they were deliberately shut off than more than something
Well, I'm guessing that
naturally.
these telescopes are much, much, much more highly engineered and way more expensive than the rest of the satellites that are up there, communication satellites and stuff.
Outside of the ones that are pointed at Earth.
Well, yeah, that's true. The other, Black Project satellites and whatnot, but these would have those safety shutdown protocols and whatnot built into them, probably a little more deeply than communication satellite or some commercial satellite might have. So if there were, say, a storm, or our system passed through some debris field or something like that, and these two telescopes are just two telescopes that would make satellites that would make it into the news for having issues. They're ones that would have issues with this. It's possible,
Yeah, that's like, I'm reminded from the chat here that it's like Spaceship 101, dude. Inertial nullification fields stop gyros from working.
It makes sense.
I mean, if you're and it makes total sense. If you're traveling that fast, you would have to have some type of inertial nullification.
How close would you have to get to the gyro, though? Because, I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking, space is huge. There's quite a bit of space out there.
I mean, it would probably have to get pretty close. I would imagine, right?
Now,
I don't
what
know.
if?
Never
what if-
been on one.
What if, just hypothesizing here, let's say you're from a civilization, you have technology that is hundreds of years advanced, or let's just put it into it. Let me posit it this way. Let's say you could go back in time.
3 to 10 meters.
Okay, I believe that, and that fits with where I'm trying to go with this little theory of mine here. Let's say you were able to go back in time and, 400 years, say 200 years or something, and find one of the most high-tech pieces of equipment that existed at the time naturally, some telescope or something like that. Using our technology, let's say a telescope. Using our technology, we could easily perform, say, a night mission to go into the lab and install a paper-thin LCD screen over one of the lens elements and a tiny little computer this fucking big with a remote control that you could send images to, and you could subvert the operation of this older technology using our modern technology. So it's not unreasonable to think that a group or whatever with more advanced technology than ours might approach a satellite, a means for us with our current our development to collect information and to subvert it, maybe perform a little night mission and put their little LCD screen over so that they can block out from images certain things. Wouldn't that kind of make sense if there were such a group? I think that would be a very plausible explanation. And say they had inertial dampening or whatever,
Right.
and they had to approach these satellites while they were moving without affecting the trajectories. You know, there might be, I don't know.
I mean, you gotta think about rogue actors too. I mean, because obviously, if all that shit is true, or even if a part of it is true, small part of it is true, there's also other species and other people and groups that have different agendas that could be, coming to Earth.
I'm a big believer in time travel. I really feel like there's some influence happening, and that we are on not necessarily the primary timeline. We're just on the timeline that we're on, but that we're just part of it is this influence from other timelines.
That reminds me. Want to give a shout out to Dee Dee. Hope you're listening tonight, Dee Dee.
Who's Dee Dee?
Dee Dee is our ET listener.
ET listener. Where? What does that happen to be?
Well, I forgot to, man. I wish Dan was here to explain it better, but yeah. So we've got an ET listener, and I don't know how exactly they listen to the show. Maybe they beam it directly out of our heads.
Huh.
Which would be kind of cool.
Oh, so it's... Okay, I thought you were talking about a human that was listening for or to ETs.
No.
Not an ET.
No, we have an actual ET
to us, humans.
fan of the show, and I want to give Dee Dee a shout out there.
Well, what's up, Dee Dee? Come visit me.
Derp. But you know what's cool about the timeline shit is because we do actually live on the timeline where holodecks. You ever seen Star Trek? Obviously. Everybody's fantasized about the holodecks, man.
You know, I have a room in my house that I refer to as the holodeck because I have a... Well...
I'm sorry.
I won't say another word.
Secrets. Please explain. Explain to everyone about your dungeon holodeck.
Well, let's see. We do live in... I couldn't resist when I found out a few years ago that we do actually live in a time where virtual reality is truly coming about to be a thing, and it's an emerging medium. Like... it's not even comparable to color TV. It's like photography is invented. You know, it's such a groundbreaking thing that's going to take 20 years before we really fucking get to not just the technology get there, but to where we learn how to use it to its fullest potential. Games and stuff are just the beginning. You know, that's not going to be the end point.
You know, training applications is like...
It's going to be a part of. It's going to look at what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got 4 computer monitors in front of us. I've got this little fucker. You've got this little shitty thing. We've got, how many computers and screens showing us information right now? This shit is going to look like a joke to people 20 years from now. They're going to be like, look at all that shit. Look at all that crap.
You had to carry your cell phone on the outside of your body?
Oh my God, how much did that fucking weigh, man? Was that like a pound?
Oh my God, what did you do if you lost it?
It had a battery?
Oh,
what the fuck is a battery?
What if it broke?
Yeah. It's, that's the kind of thing that you can look to VR and AR, which will really be the application. It's augmented reality, which is the virtual layer superimposed on your... that's going to be the true... We'll have contact lenses.
Well, let's check out what we're getting here. The holodeck. A place where you can recreate any environment.
Did we just like spoil this whole article by having that little conversation?
Probably. It's one of those signature pieces of Star Trek technology, like warp drive and transporters. See, I would know if I actually read any of these articles. Now, a group of companies is working to make something like the holodeck a reality. Nice. With some help from Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry's son.
He's the guy to go to. He's the guy that knows how to make the holodeck.
I'm sure he's got a book of Council of Nine channelings. I have the schematic.
The secrets.
Making a holodeck real. Shh, I'm not dyslexic.
You want me to read this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Roddenberry Entertainment, owned by Rod Roddenberry, the most unfortunate name you'll hear today, son of Gene Roddenberry, is teaming up with a number of technology companies working to make the Star Trek holodeck a reality. The partnership will leverage Lightfield Labs' revolutionary headgear-free holographic displays and O-Toys.
It's VR. It ain't a fucking
technology.
holodeck. They lie.
Well, the Lightfield thing is interesting. That's gonna be a pretty interesting. I can't summarize it. I'm not versed enough in it, but viewers that might be remotely interested definitely look into Lightfield technology as far as capturing and representing imagery. Quite an interesting turning point for cameras. Okay, let's see. The industry's first open source and royalty-free format for rendering media and real-time graphics on Lightfield Labs holographic display panels. So they've got holographic display panels. Original holographic content for the new system is in active development, spearheaded by Ari Emanuel, CEO of Endeavor, and Rod Roddenberry, CEO of Roddenberry Entertainment, and also an executive producer on Star Trek Diversity. The Discovery. Sorry. The concept of the holodeck was extremely important to my father as well as the Star Trek universe, said Rod Roddenberry about his late father, Gene, creator of Star Trek. I want to see Star Trek's technologies made real, and for the very first time, now believe that a real holodeck is no longer limited to science fiction.
What?
That's what he thinks.
What?
Although it's early days, my father would... What? That doesn't make sense. My father would be beyond excited to know his vision is coming into reality thanks to O-Toy... O-T-O-Y? I don't know. O-Toy's trailblazing Lightfield rendering and the revolutionary holographic display systems created at Lightfield Lab.
I think you might have hurt somebody's feelings with that.
Oh, what did am I running them off? I'm sorry.
I'm just joking, man.
I'm not really sorry. Scroll down for me there.
But look at that cool picture.
That's pretty sweet. I mean, I don't know though if you can achieve quite that with display panels. You know, a background, a TV that is like it looks like a fish tank. Mm-hmm. You know, sure, but like butterflies in front of your eyes.
Maybe that's the AR part.
That could be, but then why do you need the panels at all? I think the panels are going to be basically a depth display, but they'll be an entire wall type of a thing, you know? I think it's a little deceptive to show that concept art with like vines and plants and butterflies flying around that both people would ostensibly be able to see and look around and move around when we're talking about panels displaying things. Unless they're certainly talking about light field technology involves projecting to certain points in space. So to an extent, you know, you're going to get that, but let's continue. We're excited to use this platform to bring true holographic content to Lightfield Labs displays, which will give consumers unbelievable experiences.
I thought you were Dan talking about a moon somewhere. The
moon. Without the burden of 3D glasses or VR headsets. So, again, yeah, here it's totally untethered then.
But,
standalone.
You know, as we know, as Star Trek fans, that the holodeck actually was physical. It was resequenced photons into a physical
force
form.
Fields, not just light. They had actual force fields that were like acting on matter. And, you know, I mean, how does a computer make a force field of like a plasma, of a gas? I mean, that's alone is like a little beyond. That's going to be the holodeck. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you can walk up a flight of stairs that appears in front of you. Display, I don't know. So Lightfield Labs' initial prototype modules will scale to form larger holographic video walls with hundreds of gigapixels
Oh shit, I
of
forgot.
Lightfield resolution.
I'm sorry.
Are we not streaming? Fuck!
No, we are. I forgot all about those fucking FBI files.
Yeah, what were you gonna...
We still got time. We can do it after this.
Yeah, we're about done. Holodecks are coming. It's cool.
But they're not really holodecks, and you need some kind of headgear for some reason.
You still gotta wait 40 years. Don't worry.
Okay, these declassified FBI files. Getting to this now. That's probably why everybody was like, what the fuck? You're not even talking about the FBI file. You keep
Star
talking.
Trek. I knew they were going to talk about fucking Star Trek.
You do it every time, fucking dorks. Oh, Roddenberry. Roddenberry.
The most unfortunate name. I can't believe the article said that. How rude.
The FBI files, the paranormal collection. This is courtesy of the Black Vault. And this guy goes, this site is awesome, by the way.
Black Vault.
I highly suggest it.
I'll check that out.
Basically, this dude, he just like does FOIA requests after FOIA requests after FOIA requests about everything you can possibly fucking think of.
That's what I like to see. Someone out there getting their fucking hands dirty. Not just having an article that's the headline and that's it. And then you say, oh, I'm a journalist.
So, now, there's not a whole lot of, like, ghost stories and stuff in there. So the title is kind of misleading. Now, there is a lot of Space Brothers and UFOs type stuff, and William Cooper's got an entry into there too. I'm gonna post this into our Facebook group for you guys to peruse. We're not gonna go. There's a lot. He did a really good job putting this thing together.
You know, I wonder.
And post a link here and there.
I'd like to get an idea of how many of your viewers are not on Facebook. You know? I mean, it's not going to be easy to measure that, but I'd be curious if any viewers out there are equally disgusted by... It's so weird looking. What the fuck? Watch party! Get together! What the fuck am I seeing?
Leave it alone. All right, so
whatever.
this thing we're about to talk about here right now is in the Facebook group for you to peruse. And there's a lot in there, so it'll take you some time.
All right. Well, what's
I don't even know where to start. All right.
Yeah.
So,
What's one that stands out to you?
All right. So we got George Adamski, and Polish American citizen who became widely known in ufology circles. There was one thing that was pretty fucking cool that I wanted to talk about, man. Let me get down here. Spontaneous human combustion.
Man, that thumbnail caught my eye immediately.
Yeah,
too.
man.
Nice.
Spontaneous human combustion.
Click it, got it.
This is about as paranormal as it gets outside of, like, you know, psychic powers, ESP, and UFO. You know,
I remember reading about this when I was a kid in some like weird book I checked out from. I was fascinated by this.
The pictures. I remember seeing pictures, and I don't think there was any in this FOIA here, but it is talking about the pictures that I saw, and it's like the legs sitting there.
Yeah, just the legs. Yeah.
A fucking laser gun, man. That's a
laser
laser gun,
I could
dude.
see that. Yeah.
Oh, I swear to God, the first time I saw that picture, I was real young, and that was immediately what I thought.
Wow, man.
I
never thought about
catch
that.
fire. It was a fucking laser gun.
I didn't know what to think. In fact, when I was a kid, I thought that it was I thought that it was plausible for someone to be smoking a cigarette and to fall asleep and then just to burn up. I didn't understand the physics as a kid. You know, as a fucking 7-year-old.
No way.
Of course.
The
now
fat is like a candle.
It takes like 9 hours in a 5,000 degree crematorium oven to turn someone to ash. Yeah, that's. I mean.
Yeah, ridiculous. There's no way. And then
the energy
to not only burn away that hot and fast like that, to be completely disintegrated in ash, but then not completely destroy the building it was in.
Yeah, and the chair,
leave.
the fucking chair, still a chair sitting there.
Oh my God!
Let me see if I can pull up that picture.
Yeah,
for
you look for the pictures. I'm gonna go through this here. All right, in this case, the absence of any scorching or damage to furniture in the room can only be explained by the fact that the heat liberated by the burning body had a tendency to rise and formed a layer of hot air, which never came into contact with the furnishings on a lower level. Are you fucking kidding me?
So it was like an atmospheric effect that created a
It was a hot
bubble.
pocket.
I could almost see that. Look,
Hot pocket.
a lot of these people are sitting against corners.
Send me the link to that Google search, and I'll put that up there too. Hot pockets.
Oh, that's where they got that.
All right, check this out. This is interesting too. Distorted pieces of glass.
Look at this. Look at this. Fuck you, Google. Human combustion plus 1994 Marvel Fleer Ultra X.
What the fuck? How does that even
I don't understand that, man.
That's something
that's really fucking weird, man. Like, that's something that an interest of mine from eBay, from like 6 months ago. That's so fucking strange for that to show up in that URL.
Okay. Dude. Okay, so like to completely turn it. All right, so 9 hours at 5,000 degrees. How hot do you think?
That may be an exaggeration, but it's not. The time is not. It's definitely it's an energy intensive process.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Beyond anything that a cigarette or some polyester in a chair could do. Maybe there was a serial killer that was like a cannibal, and he was going around just cutting people up and leaving some limbs and just saying, okay,
and then just
burning some, with a blowtorch. You could maybe do it,
All right, so check this out, man. Distorted pieces of glass in specimen Q1 were found to soften in the vicinity of 1,000 to 1,100 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature corresponds to bright red heat.
Distorted pieces of glass. What is that? Like shards?
Yeah, like
or
where
something
was that
else?
come from? Like.
Are they talking about like the structure of the glass could be distorted in a way that it's not like...
All objects in specimen Q2 are the remains of human teeth, with the exception of one object which appeared to be an artificial tooth or part of a denture. The composition of specimen Q3 does not indicate that this specimen is from a lead storage battery. A portion of a cigarette lighter was found in specimen Q3, and the remaining metal in the... It burned a cigarette lighter in half, but magically stopped being on fire. Like, it's like it went and then went out. Come on, give me a fucking break, man. It's gotta be a laser gun, man.
And why is this not happening now? If this, I granted, fire-safe cigarettes and fire-safe fabrics and stuff, but still, this should still occur if it's just so bizarre. If it's the explanation of it being just an atmospheric inversion or something that occurs that creates this, like, I could see that, like a weir in a river. You know what I mean? When you have like a waterfall, you get this cycling. What do they call it? An eddy, where it's like it cycles over and over. The same. It's fluid dynamics. You know what I'm saying? It's thermodynamics. So it's not. The same thing would happen with air in the right conditions, but that doesn't happen. Houses, fires spread and houses burn down. Very, very bizarre.
Cremation of woman in chair has police baffled. Isn't that funny how they got like a newspaper clipping? Like the CIA shit always comes with that, man. Like newspaper clip, like they're holding on the newspaper.
Oh, really? Like someone's job to make the scrapbook. They're like, I like you. You'll stay right there.
So yeah, this one was definitely interesting, one of note, and like I said, one of the closest to paranormal, I guess. Okay, so cremation of a dead body is carried out at a temperature ranging between 1,400 to 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's pretty fucking hot.
The intense heat helps reduce the body to its basic elements and dried bone fragments. So I just have a hard time believing that there's a 1,800 degree Fahrenheit fire right here, and the whole fucking place doesn't go up, man.
From what? Because you need a power source to create that energy. Like, it can't just, there's not...
Well, no, even if you go by their stupid-ass explanation to where body fat acted like a fucking candle. Like a wick. Fuel. Fuel.
Huh.
Which is retarded.
Yeah, that doesn't hold any kind of water at all. Because... If that were the case, then randomly cremations. You'd think someone would be able to harness this phenomenon for a fast-working cremation.
Think about it,
right?
You know what I mean? Like,
think if you could read this article or this report and find out how this happens, and then start a crematory business and cremate bodies. You could charge $50 to cremate a body because it would take you 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't take you all fucking day and an employee to stand there and monitor the thing. You know, so you could corner the market in crematoriums 60 years ago, but no one did. So why is that? You know? Maybe because the phenomenon doesn't exist.
The same reason why instead of spending all that money and time rigging buildings for explosives, they don't just fly an old plane into it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, I can't think of, that's a perfect, and like I said, even when I was a kid, when I was like, it was a time traveler came back and shot, and it might have been a time traveler came back and shot that motherfucker.
Well, you know,
and you know what? He wasn't even shooting at him. He was shooting at some other guy that was in the room because he was chasing him. I was there.
Okay. Were you the guy that was running?
I'll tell you at a later date.
Okay. I know that
Because
you've already told me.
All right, so it's also got a 40-page ESP.
That's pretty sweet.
D-class, yeah.
I want to read through that one, baby. Hell yeah.
Extrasensory perception.
Give me some of that shit, man. I wished so much as a kid that I could had the time and the money and the energy and the capability to learn how to astral project. That was like in these books about, you know, paranormal activity and stuff. Astral projection was just a foregone, like, you can do it. You just gotta fucking do it. You know, you just gotta know how to do it, and you can go fucking do whatever. It's like these mind powers, man. Richmond, Virginia. What's going on here?
Oh my God.
C&O Railway.
I think it may be a possibility that I know these people, or at least relatives of this person. Okay, so attended a private exhibition of blank, blank, blank. Attended a private exhibition of extrasensory perception given by William Foose at American Legion headquarters in Washington, D.C. Exhibition was informal and attended by 20 individuals, principally officials of the Veterans Administration. Okay, so, you know, checking out some guy's ESP. What's this one? Same shit.
I'm still talking about Richmond. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, it's the same event they're talking about. Alright, so check this out. The CIA shit, did you ever dig through that?
No, I haven't actually.
Man, there's a lot of cool stuff in the Project Stargate, like tons of remote viewing sessions, and, you know, shit they were getting actionable intelligence off of. Bill Cooper has a pretty lengthy file.
300.
There's two of them.
Damn, he got trips on that. Nice, Bill.
I know. Good job, Bill. Rest in peace.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
And it's funny because it's not funny, but it's funny that the ones I was looking through were from 1999. All right, he was killed actually on my birthday in 2001.
You shouldn't dox yourself like that.
I don't care. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
In 2001, so that would have been right after the turning point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he went on the radio and was like, they're getting ready to do that and blame it on something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
All right, so it's funny because they're constantly talking about how like the notes. They're like, look, they've got pictures, satellite images of his house and shit, right? All these satellite images of his house. And this is in 1999, guys.
Look how shitty they did this intentionally, too. Like,
this
is as good as we got.
They do that all the time, man. They shit all over it, dude.
I bet those were 4K resolution, you know?
Especially the older ones, man. They're real bad. All right, so they're talking about, apparently he was in, there's so much of it I haven't, and there's a lot of deleted stuff.
Yeah.
And from what I can understand from it so far, the gist I'm getting is that he was in possession of something, and someone was trying to put charges on him for it, some judge or something. And he was like, no, hell no. So he was, wanted for that, and the guys investigating him have all these hand-scrawled notes, and it's always saying, here's his letter, right? Judicial notice is hereby served by affiants,
I guess,
upon the United States or any other interested party named within. This public notice will be construed to comply with provisions necessary to establish presumed fact under the federal rules of civil procedure and the attending state rules should be interested parties. Oh yeah, you know what? This is all blah 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 blah. Here's the good part.
You gotta get to the big text.
On July 2nd, 1998, Special Agent Steve Fillerup of the Federal Bureau of Investigation approached the bottom of the hill and honked his horn.
Did he shout, Fillerup?
He's a Pokemon.
He just pulled up to the gas station and was like, burr, burr.
He attempted to entice us to accept the document that he held in his hand. We refused the document. They were trying to serve him. They refused the document and entered a discussion with him. I told him he was out of his jurisdiction and cited the documentation and Supreme Court cases to that effect, which we have in our possession. I told him to inform his traitor supervisors that Tell them they stepped on their dicks this time. Special Agent Fillerup replied, I think we probably did. He got back in his blazer and drove away. On July 1st, 1998, U.S. District Court Judge Irwin unconstitutionally and unlawfully stepped outside the jurisdiction and authority of the United States when he issued a bench warrant for the arrest of William and Annie Cooper for not appearing in his court on an unconstitutional and unlawful summons which was never served. The United States has no jurisdiction or venue within the territorial boundaries over the state of Arizona except over land that was ceded to the United States by the state legislature. Now, I don't know for certain, but I would assume that this is probably over taxes.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Warning! Any attempt by the federal government or anyone else to execute the unconstitutional and unlawful arrest warrants issued by Judge Irwin will be met with armed resistance.
Damn right.
Any person who attempts to kidnap our children will be shot upon discovery.
That's your right.
We are formed as the constitutional and lawful unorganized militia state of Arizona and the United States of America, and have made public statements to that effect since 1990. All of these statements are on record on tapes of our lectures and broadcasts. These tapes are dispersed in the hands of Americans across the nation. By invading the sovereign jurisdiction of the state of Arizona to attack the citizens of the state of Arizona, the United States has declared war upon the citizens of the several states of the Union.
That makes sense.
Bill Cooper was not fucking playing around.
It
dude.
really makes sense.
If you haven't listened to it, you can find it. It's archived on the internet. It's somewhere, The Hour of Time. Totally dope, man. He had the Mystery Babylon series, man. Gets into all the, mystery schools and the symbolism, you know what I mean? All that crazy shit, like, fucking just hours of it, man.
Hour of the Time? Is that it?
I think that's it, Hour of Time, yeah. So, we will be free under the constitutional republic government guaranteed by the organic constitution for the United States, blah, blah, blah.
I don't know if this is it. I don't know if this is, whoa, I think this is someone's blog or something.
Star.
Oh, no, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so, let me see if I can get to some of these notes. Where I was seeing that. Paranoia.
The Hour of Our Time. There
Personality disorders. You know what I mean? Because he's rebelling against the system, essentially. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. That's tool number one right there.
Let me tell you a little something about Bill Cooper, man. This dude, has some shit happening. Man, he has his leg blown off, dude. He was in the fucking service for a long time, dude. And he was seeing shit, and they were fucking getting him convinced that there was gonna be an alien invasion, right? And then it turns out that they were saying, I'm sorry, I'm getting myself all fucked up here. They were going to stage an alien invasion as a false flag attack, right?
Right.
So it's funny how this happened. So they're putting on all these UFO sightings and all this crazy shit to him to get him to think that all that shit's real. Mm-hmm. Then they're going to stage a false flag attack, right? He finds out about it, and then I think he writes a book about it and shit. And then he finds out that they were just telling him that just to tell him that.
Just to fuck with him. Just to, like, make him look crazy or something. Yeah. Man, I would almost believe that they might attempt something like that. Like, I could see, like, a parallel timeline where 9/11 was a UFO attack. And that was, 18 years ago, we got attacked and we never saw them again. I could believe.
You got to think, too, now, this was all happening in the 80s. We were talking Reagan, we're talking Star Wars, we're talking, what if we had a common enemy for the world to unite behind?
They definitely had the tungsten rods waiting up there at that point. That was like the high-tech, cutting-edge weapon at that point. Was
of God.
Mass driver technology. Dude, for sure.
Now, I'm going to tell you, man, there was something more to the Star Wars program, and I think the Star Wars program is tied into the secret space program in some way, or everything that's going on. The secret space program, trademark Corey Good, is like a catch-all phrase for all this crazy shit that's going on clandestinely in space. Right?
Yeah.
It's not a secret space program. So, where the hell was I going with that? Bill Cooper. Star Wars. So, I think Star Wars is tied into it because, here we go with a long story. Anyway, I'll try to make it as brief as possible. Met this guy at a protest. He seemed pretty cool. He was with this other lady. He ended up coming to my house one time for an activist meeting or whatever. It was an older guy. Mm-hmm. And he looked like he was military, but, you know, we're in a military area. So we did have some military members.
A lot of, yeah, I'm sure.
Right. Fuck was I going again? It's fucking military. Yeah. All right, so he tells me he worked on the Star Wars program.
Okay.
Right? And I kept prodding him. And he would not tell me fucking shit.
That'd be an interesting thing to hear.
The only thing he told me was it would obliterate my fucking mind, what we had.
I'm sure, yeah.
Right?
I'd believe something like that.
And you know what? Spy satellites and tungsten rods don't obliterate my fucking mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think really, truly that shit. And God, man, he only came around twice. And, you know, I lost contact with him. And that is one person I wish that I was still in contact with right now. Because I think if I would have stayed talking to him by now, I probably would have gotten. He would have coughed some shit up by now, man.
Man, well, they're out there, though. There's definitely, you know, these programs aren't just run by nobody. You know, these things are staffed by people. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot of degenerative mental disease going around, though. That's quite a common thing.
Right.
What do we got going on in the chat over there?
We missed some shit.
Any good news? Squeak.
Just watching TV. Okay, where are we at?
Oh, they're talking about how awesome we are. Look at that.
Oh, they're talking about the fire. Hey, Rochelle, what's going on? Nice to see you in here. We got all the crowd in, and I'm gonna eat some musk. I always tease them because they got musk is like a candy flavor or something.
Huh.
Over there, it's like, I guess it's flowers.
That doesn't sound
I know.
good.
Look, I want to explain to you guys. In America, musk candy is like, sounds like you're about to eat some ass butt.
Musk is like when you get on the bus and you're like...
And for that matter, who wants to eat flower-flavored candy? What the fuck is up with that?
Hey, flowers are good, man. Flowers are an ancient snack.
Oh,
flowers are, in fact, probably the oldest candy.
Oh, shit,
if you want to think about it.
Sorry, guys. Whatever we were trying to show them for the last 8 hours wasn't on the screen.
Well, you didn't miss much because it was a bunch of shit. I mean, scroll up real quick and you see this fucking terrible
it's just
photos.
handwritten notes like calling Bill Cooper.
We weren't even reading any of this, actually.
I mean, I read paranoia, personality
Oh, that's right. You read
disorder.
some of this. That's right.
I read this shit here. But yeah, like I said, that's up at the blackvault.com. You can get the link through our Facebook group. There's a lot of stuff on here, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Hey, hook that up for the old Trello group too. If you can.
I sure will, man. Ballard guy, and then this dude, Boyd Bushman.
Yeah, that's what he's saying right there.
This guy this was the dude that was presenting the picture of the alien that like turned out it looked like it could be exactly this toy from Walmart.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think I remember that. Yeah. Oh yeah, that guy.
But that being said, the dude's a little old, right? Super old. I mean, he's not even with us anymore.
Yeah.
And
rest in peace.
You know, he was pretty much about to die when he was coming out with that stuff, and I could see him being like, maybe that is an approximation of one, and just being fooled or something.
Yeah.
So,
well, it could have been
because look,
we didn't even get the full.
The dude is legit, man.
Really?
Like I just breezed through this earlier. He's legit. SAP access.
So they were
all of it.
Someone
dude.
was maybe just even trying to discredit him or something.
Like,
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Look, clearance, top secret, SCI, SAP. This dude got tops. He's got special access clearance, dude. Wow. And he worked for, I think, Lockheed. Was it Lockheed?
Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin. He worked for Lockheed Martin in the Skunk Works. He's got special access clearance. And he's talking about, you know, aliens and UFOs and shit. And saying they were there, talking about Area 51. There's tons of interviews and stuff out there, but here is actual documentation from the government proving that this guy had special access program clearance level.
Yeah, going pretty far back too, 82, date of hire, you know.
Like he could have been working on he probably was working on Star Wars.
Yeah, that was a pretty heavy period through there. Very interesting. I almost want to look up that thing you were talking about with the little alien photo. I wonder if...
Yeah, well, we got something. The picture of the alien's head is being held up by an adult human hand. You can calculate the size of the alien's head from that. The head of the alien toy is way smaller. And, you know, the way we know how shit works,
Here we
too.
go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
Where's the alien toy?
I think it's this.
I don't know, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at that. That could be...
Well, it's
that
in
head
it's in
could
a
be about
computer
that
chair.
big.
I'm sorry, man. Can you put that in a trailer so I can put that on the screen for me?
Yeah. Boy, if everyone was in the cool Trello group...
Look, we need to get a camera that points down on what we're doing and be like...
Here, I'll just do this.
We couldn't do that. We'd have to, like, blur things
Actually,
out.
yeah, you know, you'd have to have little sections. Okay, I'll put the... Whatever that page made up... I don't even know what it is. Debunking page. Oh, that's not the... Hold on, let me find the one with the hand. Here.
Okay, so there's the toy.
Hey, what's up?
There's his picture. I mean, come on, man.
Here we go. This is the one with the hand.
That's not the one
I just
with
put
the
it in
hand. Okay.
Trello.
All right, here's the one with the hand. Now, this does look different. This definitely looks a little different, and it may just be a lighting.
Well, he could be look.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When you're taking a photo of something, you know, like to
In the
illustrate
angle.
my hand, you know, this is the skull of the thing, you know. It doesn't have to exactly be like that. It can be like that. And if it's closer to the camera, that effect is, you know, more distinct. It can make, you know, that's why people take photos of fish like this. Hey, look at this giant fish. It looks 9 feet long.
And it's like it almost looks like it's not actually it's laying in his hand. He's holding it up with his fingers.
Yeah. I mean, it could be in the process of, is he even...
But
he's not even taking that photo because that's a right hand. How are you going to do this with a camera? That doesn't even make sense. So there's two people there. Maybe it's someone just manipulating the thing and just moving it around while someone else is just snapping shots.
Visually, it does look a little different, I think.
Oh no, I guess he could be. Hold on, if we go back to that, he could be like this,
like
and
these two,
and holding the camera like this. You know what I'm saying? And that could achieve that angle.
These two photos, though, man. You know,
it looks pretty close to me.
It looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
to me, man. Like the stripe on the head is even
on the
off
right
center.
side. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would have to be a pretty damn... Someone would have had to make an exact copy replica of some alien somewhere, and then mass-produced it in China and sold it at Walmart.
That wouldn't take more than a couple weeks to achieve if you had the means
you're
to do
right.
it, you know?
I mean, what are the chances? I mean, they do, you know, so-called drip disclosure and shit certain ways, and maybe that could be part of it.
If that's an actual toy that's in a Walmart, that is creepy as shit, dude. I can't imagine some little kid walking by that like, oh, I want that little alien fucking
here it is
thing.
right there, and it looks like it's foam. Maybe it's like a Halloween decoration.
Yeah, maybe, but aliens is really a Halloween.
You see the chipping and stuff. That reminds me of a painted foam.
Now, if it's foam, is it going to bend the neck around as easily as he had it in that photo? You know, like leaning around. Maybe it's
just the whole body is tilted in this picture.
That's a shame. I don't know. Well, it could be that
honestly,
these photos were just released under his name, you know, and he was like, "Hey, what the fuck?"
Nah, it's not because look, there he is holding it. Unless they photoshopped that in. I mean, and the guy's not around anymore. So, but
well, it might be that he doesn't. That wasn't his hand. Those aren't his photos, and someone gave those to him, and they were like, "Look at these photos," and he's just got them. He hasn't done the research to find a fucking toy that looks just like that.
Right,
you know?
That could be it too. Because I mean, if you look at it, it looks like it's been worn to give the appearance of being old.
Yeah.
Where if that toy is new manufacture at the time, that would have been a deliberate hoax.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have been trying to perpetrate a deliberate hoax.
I think someone could have perpetrated a hoax on him, though. I mean, if this guy's going around to like shows and stuff, and there's crackpots out there that want to make hoaxes and stuff that will be passing things. Hey, man, I got something you gotta see.
Not pointing any fingers and.
Oh, I'm not going to admit to any of the hoaxes that I've created.
Oh shit! What's this we got?
So what was, aside from the SAP access, was he listed out in anything else specifically in that?
What do you mean as far as clearance levels?
Well, in his documents there, was there any other?
I didn't really dig too deep in it because it's a lot of data on it.
It's a lot of redacted shit too.
Yeah, it's a ton of redacted shit. Well, I mean, mostly names and whatever it is that they're working on. Because, like, look, conduct an analysis of blank.
Teledildonics.
Representations to determine whether or not they were genuine and valid. So,
well,
like,
they're valid.
They're investigating different technology and shit, and
Yeah.
they won't even tell you what they're investigating.
It's probably not even that interesting, like certain different types of resistors or something that, you know, we got a report about this guy. He was able to make a gear that fucking turns without, you know, like, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we hit on enough of that for them guys.
That's cool though. That's a nice. There's a lot of. You
check
can do
it
a
out.
whole
It's a
show.
ton of stuff.
Just
dude, you can do
through some of that
tons,
stuff, man.
tons of shows on this shit. I mean, they look at Heaven's Gates Cult, 14th Society, Finders Cult, ESP, Phil Class. Who's that? That seems familiar. 1919 to 2005. Engineer, journalist, and UFO researcher. Dr. Lincoln, astronomer. It's time for bed. Oh shit. Well, guys.
Very interesting.
Oh yeah, and a whole section on MJ12. I appreciate you guys sticking around. You guys are real troopers out there. Our Aussie fans, give a shout out there. Our ET listener, DD, thanks for listening. And I guess we'll next week is going to be another weird one. All right, so most likely we're not going to do a Halloween broadcast. Maybe at like 9 o'clock. Probably going to do it some other time, to be honest. But, you know, we'll see what happens. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.